now sign this contract which says that you agree to pay back the face value, the $10 billion, plus interest. Plus interest. So we, the people, are now spending and using a fiat currency, which if you actually look on there, on those dollar bills, it says it's a debt note. It doesn't even call it money. It says what it is. It's right there on the face value. A debt note. Right? You can use it for all debts. That's all it is debt. It's actually not money at all. It's pure debt. It's pure debt. That's all it is it's pure debt. It's pure debt. It's pure debt because Federal Reserve note. This note is legal tender for all debts, public and private. You can't exchange it for gold. It has no intrinsic value. It's not regulated by Congress. All the money, all this fiat currency now has like little tracking devices in it too. So that the powers that be can see any stockpiles of cash and track it with a satellite. And you can actually cut the bills and pull out the little clear plastic strip on there. It's got like a barcode on it. So this is a debt note. All it is debt. And the reason why I can prove that, right? You don't have to believe anything I say. You can research all of this. The reason why it's a debt note is because you can find the facts, is that the Federal Reserve prints this paper currency. There's no backing of gold. It is just paper. It's just paper. There's no intrinsic value. The only value is the perception, the perceived value. It's just paper. It's not backed by gold. There's no gold in Fort Knox. Nothing. It's just paper. And the government takes this paper and they agree to pay back not only that face value, but interest. So, the only money, fiat currency, that we have in the United States is the Federal Reserve note. Right? Okay, well, let's just say there's $1 billion printed. $1 billion is printed. What that means is that now there's $1 billion, 1 billion $1 bills in the United States economy, right? If there's 1 billion, there's only 1 billion of them. There can only be 1 billion at a time, and so the people can exchange those $1 billion bills with each other, pay each other's debts, pay each other back and forth, blah, 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 blah. Well, if you have to pay back interest upon 1 billion, how can you pay back 1,500,000 or 1,500,000 if there's only 1 billion notes? You can't. It's totally impossible. So every single time we take out a loan, and again, they're not even giving us anything. It's a total scam. It's total fraud. If they were actually giving us sacks of gold, it would be one thing. But they're not. They're just printing money. They're using the same materials, the same inks, the same printing presses that potentially anyone could get a hold of and print and do the exact same thing and then be arrested and incarcerated for, counterfeiting. But they're not doing anything different. They're just printing. Except for that there's a contract that's being signed that we agree to pay back. We agree to pay back not only the face value, but also interest. Well, every single time we take a loan, we're in more debt than we were before. We've been in debt for many years, and the debt is more every single year. You can look this up. You can look at graphs, you can look at charts, and you can look at the U.S. debt. Look at the U.S. debt from, 1776 to now. It's just insane the way it is. And you can also look at another graph, and look at another chart. If you look at, because we're in 2013 now, so it's exactly 100 years since the Federal Reserve came into play. Well, the Federal Reserve has lost 1%. The dollar bill has lost 1% of value every single year. This is a fact. You can check these charts online. So right now, the Federal Reserve value is down here. It's 99% less. 99% less value than it had 99 years ago, 100 years ago. 99% less value. And that's because of inflation. Because all they do is print more paper. All they do is print more paper. All they do is print more paper. It's not gold, it's not silver, it's just paper. It's just paper. Now, the only reason we have been powerful and successful this long is because we also tricked the world. We also tricked the world, just like the Americans got tricked. The world got tricked the exact same way as the Americans got tricked, because we're printing this paper and then we're giving it to China. And they're, giving us all this crap, really, right? But, to Africa, and they're giving us their gold. We just come over here. I mean, just imagine, right? If you were to go upstairs to your printer, go on your computer and be like, okay, I want to go get a car and go get a dinner and maybe buy a plane ticket to Hawaii. You go on there, okay, I need $10,000 for that, I need $5,000 for that, $35,000 for that, and you just print out three checks. And then you go to the store, you give them that check. You go to the car dealership, you give them that check. You go to the travel agency, you give them that check. Bam, 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 it's all done. It's the exact same thing. There's no difference, except for that they wouldn't accept your notes as value because they've never seen them before, because they're not standardized or whatever. There's no more inherent value to what you just did than what the Federal Reserve is doing. So we've been doing the same thing, not only with the people in the United States, but also people in other countries. And so we'll go to Africa and we'll be like, yeah, we've got all this paper here that's worth all this, it's got all this value to it. You can use it, to, get oil, from other countries. That was the big thing, is that the dollar bill has been the standard market value for oil for a long, long, long time. All oil was traded based on the dollar. And so what that means is that if you bought oil, you had to buy dollar bills to buy oil. And so the United States tricked the rest of the world into buying our paper and then using it to buy oil. And so we're just printing that stuff. We're just printing that stuff. We're just printing that stuff. And that's why we've been so powerful. Because we've just been printing paper, and people give us their oil, they give us their gold, they give us their chocolate, they give us their milk, they give us their wheat, they give us their corn. They give us whatever we want for this paper that we just print. Well, it's in a way, it's a really badass deal for, the United States economy, but it's really bad for everyone else, including the individuals. Because, see, here's the thing, is that it's not the individuals so much. I mean, in a way, the people here in the United States, yeah, we've got a lot, I mean, we have a lot. I mean, if you've ever been to Africa or to India and actually seen the way most people live, most of those people are living on $1 a day. Most of those people are living on $1 a day. And there's a lot of people that are on way less than that. A lot of people that are actually on less than $1 a day. That's like a common life there. Right, so just imagine what your life would be like if you made $1 per day. And most of these people are actually working too. They don't just sit around and take food stamps, and watch TV, take Medicaid and, go to homeless shelters. None of that even exists. They're working all day long to make that $1. I've been there, like in India, for example. They don't have that many machines because, man labor is so cheap. So they don't have lawnmowers. They just go to a working class person, pay them 10, 20 cents an hour, and then they'll trim the lawn with scissors. They don't even have a push thing because that's too expensive. They just take a pair of scissors and they'll trim the whole lawn. And they get paid, $1, $1.25, for their day's work. when they build a new road or destroy a road, they don't have a big machine that comes in there and like breaks up the pavement and picks it up and puts it in a dump truck. They have Indian men who walk around with sledgehammers and they're beating on this road until they crack it into pieces. And there's other dudes, that have just like this little rag, around their, genitalia, and they're picking up all of these pieces of cement, putting it in a basket, putting it on their head, and then walking it to a big truck and then dumping it in the truck. Because they can pay those guys 10, 20 cents an hour to do that. And to buy the machine, to pay for the maintenance, to the oil changing, the gas, it's not worth it. They just pay the guys. But here in the United States, you can't do that because, 10, 12 bucks an hour, most people, even poor people, are making more in an hour than Indians or Africans make in a week. So yeah, we the people are benefiting. We are benefiting from the fraud, in a way, because we have more. But in a lot of ways, we're not benefiting. Because one, we are directly participating, we're directly contributing to the lifestyle and the economy of those countries. Because you have to realize, Africa, for example, is one of the richest countries in the whole world. And when I say richest, I mean the inherent value of the land. Almost all the cacao, which is what chocolate is made of, comes out of Africa now. Billions and billions of dollars of chocolate in Europe, in the United States, Australia, and even China now. Most of it's coming out of Africa. A lot of it used to come out of Central America, but it's declining there quite a bit. Now it's coming out of Africa. A lot of the gold. Africa is one of the richest continents of gold. Mass amounts of gold. They grow coffee there. Lots and lots of resources. Not to mention the slaves. For lots and lots and lots of years, the Europeans and the Americans were going over there and just like, grabbing them by the neck, sort of like you would a stray cat, putting them in a cage, shipping them over here, and then, you do this for me because I say so. I'm not even going to give you anything for it. I'll feed you some straw. I'll feed you some, oats. You can eat with the pigs. Right? Just like animals. So, it's real interesting to look at the psychology, to look at the consciousness, to look at the spirituality of things like that. Right? But that's a fact. That happened. Slavery was real. That was real. But how much different is it really now? How much different is it now if we are buying the chocolate, the gold, the coffee, the clothes, the silk, the cotton, the real resources of real value from, say, Africa or, say, India or, for, say, Central America, and all we're doing is giving them a piece of paper that we just print. And not only that, we're not even giving them that much. Because like I said, they're getting paid 10, 20 cents an hour. Right? Well, their economy is only that low because of the value that they're getting for everything that we're getting. Right? We're getting way more. It's just completely and totally out of balance. It's not because we're stronger, physically. They're actually way stronger physically. It's not even because we're necessarily smarter. It's just that there's a few people that have devised these systems of control and are utilizing these systems of control, and we just happen to be in one of the countries that appears to be on the top. We seem to be getting the good end of it. But here's the thing: is how good can it really be? Because it's just like one side of the coin. We're just on one side of the coin. The other side of the coin is real and it exists, and we are just as responsible for it as anybody else is. So there are countries, there are continents, there are whole civilizations that are living on $1 a day. Simultaneously, we've got a military, right, that in 1 year's budget can feed the entire world. 1 year's budget of the United States military can feed the entire world. Right? The entire world. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of value. right? We're making more in 1 hour than most Indians or Africans are making in a whole week. And that's the lower class people. That's not the upper class people. Right? But simultaneously, we're not actually that healthy. The people here are oftentimes way more obese, way less energy, way more tired, way more depressed, you know, skin problems, bone problems, organ problems, asthma and cancer and, all these ailments.